Hey, where do I start?
What's your top three biggest failure stories in business?
Uh, Tough one. So the first one was 2012. So we had just opened our Ikeja office, and so we had over 2 million naira to open in Ikeja. And it was funny because I had to be living in Songwater, even though I had that much money. I had to be living in Songwater, and then coming over 2 hours, taking Molue because for a good part I didn't have a car. So it take Molue to come to the office. And what shocked me was the first 2 months in Ikeja, when we opened our Ikeja office, where you were supposed to be happy that yes, we'll sort it out, we'll squash it, we'll break it. First 2 months, we exhausted the over 2 million naira we had, right? First 2 months. And we're now back to trying to really sell, to even pay salaries to. I look back at some of those staff we used to have, they really endured because we just didn't. In fact, and it was funny that even me, the CEO, there were days where I did not even have 200 naira to take Molue back to Songwater. So I had to sleep in the office. So I remember one of those days, mosquito literally, by the next morning, my whole skin was swollen, right? And that same day, I still don't have guarantee of going home except sales comes out some way, somehow, right? And this is probably one of the reasons why I'm still a very rugged marketer too. Because those what pulled us out then was a aggressive. So today I don't know how else. I don't know how to play clean branding and marketing like easy. Right? I just know how to disturb you on WhatsApp, on phone, and bombard you. You either do business with me or you're tired of me. But we had that. Then at the end of the year, we couldn't renew the rent of that same place. Right? It was one of the worst. This was 2012. So by the end of 2012, we couldn't renew the office rent. 2013 opened with me having to stay in the house. But that was when I then watched all of Apprentice.
Remember, we did a retreat in your house that year.
No. You had not started
Omole,
consulting
the time we
for us.
had a retreat.
Yeah, that's Omole. This is Songwater.
Oh
No, you had.
This was free.
Yes,
I
this
came
was
and I
free.
bought
Yeah, exactly. So even the challenges you faced was still, it was still exactly that one. I went back, became one man business back because all our staff gone, no office space, and I had this small laptop. They used to do this mini laptop, I think 10-inch or something laptop. So that was what I had. Then my house had no job. My wife was, doing her NYC. She was pregnant. Yeah. So again, we're now behind on the rent as well. My landlady then will wake up in the morning and start singing all these Lori Buruku, stupid, were kind of, yes, every morning. And she's singing beside her window. I'm not kidding. And because it's Songo, it's not like here in the where the lawyer they will just get a lawyer send you a letter quick notice. In those places, it's insult. Exactly, it's insult and frustration. They used to kick you out of the house. So we had all that battle going on. So we had to rely on my wife's NYC Alawi. Yeah, it was that bad. And so again, at some first thing, I felt it was spiritual. So when we started doing 21-day fasting, praying, nothing changed. Went back to Bible school. So I'd graduated the entire Bible school, but I went back again, you know. And it was really tough. I can go on and on and on. But from the house, the miracle happened when I was in Bible school, and that's why today even this morning, some of you were not feeling my vibe when I was just praising God and say it's all of you. It's just you. Nobody did this. There's no assistant doer. As far as I'm concerned, there's no assistant doer in Gtext. God did it. Right? God did it. God did it. And I went back to Bible school. Every method they had taught, nothing worked. But this class on praise, right? And the man kept saying that praise is what you do when there's nothing else to do. when you have tried all means and nothing just will change. So I then said to myself, okay, you know what, I have nothing to lose. I'll wake up by 12 a.m. and I'll start praising God. It was the worst praise session of my life. And it was short, but it's the worst. Because I woke up 12 a.m. and the devil started telling me, oh yeah, as I started the song, oh yeah, what are you praising God for? First of all, when the business was good, you were paying title. Don't forget. Remember that time? And I had one expense where we made some money, and we wrote the check for the tithes in check. And my church is so big that they didn't withdraw the money. I spent the money. And there was not a tough season, so I felt it was because I was owing. So the previous time I had money, I remember cash, 1.6 million, took it to church as tithes. And so the devil was bringing all of that and said, look, guy, it wasn't a case of, and yet see how God messed up with you. Like, see how your life, oh yeah, tell me what you are praising God. So I had to keep, so at some point I figured, I said, you know, but I'm alive. A living dog is better than a dead lion. So I'm now going to praise God that I am alive. You know, and then I started, it was 12 a.m. And that was when I knew the Holy Ghost understood business. While I was praying, the Holy Spirit said, okay, so let's analyze your business. What product are you selling the most? Bulk SMS. What's your profit margin on the SMS? I said 10%. And you have this volume of debt. Because we went into debt without borrowing money. Clients were asking for refund and all of that. So he said, if you continue to get this 10% margin, you will never come out of this. Which other product do you have 100% margin on? So I said database, GSM database then. We had one of the largest. Said, let your primary campaign be on GSM database. Anybody who buy database from you will need units. You need to have to buy SMS from you to push it. That was a game changer. So we re-engineered the entire company's campaign. We have the largest database. In fact, we had the campaign, are you going for election? We can help, and then I joined how many, and another thing the Holy Spirit said to me is, let's even assume your problem is spiritual. You have this email database of 200,000. If you send 200,000 emails every week, you know, witches and wizards are not omnipresent. They can only be one place at a time. Right? Meaning, let's say they are the one blocking the eye of your customer from seeing your campaign. If you send 200,000 emails, max you have 1,000 witches on your matter. Right? There are still a lot of other. You could say how those things designed to my level. Like, I could get that. That made sense. So I'll go to a cyber cafe. You know, it was Target Hero then. And, you know, you can only open 2 accounts on one IP address. They allow you to send 5,000 emails on each. So I will go to 20 cyber cafes. So I had the day, Monday, for example, is cyber cafe day, to just go and open the account. Tuesday and Wednesday is to upload 5,000 email list, right, on those 40 accounts. Remember, I'm trying to push up to 200, right? So I upload, then, upload the email, then blast the schedule all the SMS that will be going to those email database. And then I'll use Friday to receive calls, right? And that's what I did. Guess who now started calling? Chivita, PZ. In fact, there was one, MTN called. I was like, exactly. I thought, in fact, there was one I sent Richard. So, there was one, it was Chivita. I said, and it was an Indian voice. I said, let Richard go. This one, if it's scammer, they will carry Richard. We'll figure out how we'll carry him out. Only for Richard to go and then meet all these foreign expatriates, and of course didn't perform. He won't tell me, but I knew he didn't deliver well, because they were not telling him they wanted to send 100 million campaign. Can you go deliver 100 million? 100 million when? No, it wasn't even that. It was that we had never, the highest, most paying customer had done maybe 200,000 with us. And then someone wants to do 100 million. Like, even the brain couldn't carry. Of course, his presentation didn't make sense. We lost that one. But after then, I was not willing to go for other presentation because now I knew that I was attracting the right, and that was the change. So 2014, we were able to get back to an office in Ogba. It was a 2-bedroom. The guy had a studio in one, and then we're sharing. We had one room. No. You see, you met us in the Ogba. There was another Ogba before the one you saw, right? So it was 2-bedroom. We used one room. Then the living room became like reception and where staff were. That was where DSS came to carry me again, right? So there, 2014 rather, we Chivita came, even APC, PDP. That's how we got Jonathan SMS campaign, Buhari email campaign. We entered 2015. It was 2015 October. We then moved to the upstairs, and that was when the real estate arm started.
So this was pre-SAPA or post-SAPA?
Which one is SAPA?
If you write a book on SAPA habits.
SAPA is when you're broke.
Yes.
Oh. So there's SAPA, there's JAPA. I thought SAPA is another version of.
SAPA is when you're on the ground zero.
Oh, okay.
SAPA has carried you.
Urgent 2K.
Okay, so let's move from the dark days to the brighter days.
Yeah, I didn't mention 3, but even 1 is encyclopedia. But let's go.
Okay, so you've had a blast the 7 years. You've been to almost all the major countries, all the major cities. You've had moments, memories. Right? So why you shared some of your I would say your learning memories, but something that's fading.
Yeah.
You learn.
Yeah. Please, let's all share. Let's share this video. Those of you watching, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. Please share, because this will encourage a lot of entrepreneurs. Honestly, believe me. Yeah. And Nigeria needs a lot of entrepreneurs. So this content is pure good content that will support people. Please share. Yeah, go ahead.
So let's look at all of your memories, great memories, your archive. Look at it and share your best moments, your best memories with us. 7 years.
My best memory. There are many memories, honestly. Many. But I think it was when we were now able to start opening offices, like when we opened Dubai. That was really, really shocking, because the Dubai also was the place where I was trying to start international engagement. So I remember we had this, I arranged and campaigned this, events in Dubai. Tell me, I said, if you are going out, you have to take permission, right? We had this event where I'm just in case, right? We're going, we had this event in Dubai, and I'll never forget it. We had gotten venue and all of that. To my surprise, nobody showed up. Nobody at all. For it to now be the same Dubai, that we're now able to have an office, right, and a whole lot that happened, it was humbling for me. But I've had several moments. Some of you maybe can remind me some, but I've had several. Another one was when we were able to send staff to Dubai en masse, right? And then the Maldives as well. In fact, Maldives, I was excited. It was humbling for me that we could be, because you need to know that we used to be that company that can't pay salary. So for you to be that same company that is now sending 30 staff, 50 staff for vacation, all expense paid, it's just humbling, and it's really, really humbling for me. And the Dubai one was also funny, because first time we didn't have enough money, we sent 1 staff. And that's why you see your good deeds, show it with the little ones. It's not when you have all the money. So first time sending a staff to Dubai was, I think, 2016 or 2017, right? The guy came back. It was the highest achievement of his life. He resigned, right? The same person you used to query and, correct, now you give him query. His reaction was just funny. And cut the long story short, the guy resigned. The second person, the third person, and it's the same thing I'm seeing with transferring staff to Dubai and then later say they should come back and they are resigning. I'm not going to stop transferring staff. Nobody's going to make me feel bad doing what I think is right. Right? So I kept on. The second staff resigned as well. The third person resigned. The fourth one was the mass one we did when we were about opening. You were there, you know. And funny enough, people stayed. So, and we continue that culture as well. Because it's been tough for me as well to just do what I think is right. Because I realize a lot of entrepreneurs in Africa and Nigeria especially don't want their staff to rise, right? Because they feel that the exposure, right, gets them to become arrogant, gets them to become disloyal. But for me, I felt that there is a limit to the success of our organization if those who work with us don't get certain kind of exposure, right? We just can't get to a level. And for me, I've made up my mind we'll continue that culture until we're able to get to a point where, and I think that's what has happened now. It's no big deal that you went to Dubai anymore, right? And I see that we'll get to a point where it's no big deal that a staff opens an hotel that is 10-story. He will still be humble to be a staff here. There's no big deal that a staff decides to launch a school, and I'm even the one commissioning the school. You know, we'll get to a point where billionaires will be part of the system, and they are still proud to be part of this. And they've made money. They're doing well. You know, it's the patience, the courage to continue to empower. And I'll never forget starting. I had not even opened our company when I was listening to a training by Reverend Sam, and one of the engineers, he said, "I'm into construction. I send my staff abroad for trainings. They will come back. They will resign." And I'll say, "What's my benefits?" And I'm beginning to struggle with that as well. I know some staff that this year now, what we put into sending them to Dubai and all of that is in excess of 5 million. And I did that on 3 people. And then the 3 people want to leave. Right? That's 15 million gone. Right? They may not know the numbers. You know the numbers. Right? But I remember what Reverend Sam said to the man, which was that keep doing it. One day you have the ones that will be loyal. They will not just stay. They will grow the business to pieces. And they will be grateful for the opportunities they've gotten under you. So, and I continued it. Right? I think some people have a new strategy of using glasses. Let me tap, you know, Father Osea, remove the glass from my face. Thank you. No more glasses. Just remove. We know you, but remove. Still remove it. We know you are not sleeping. Yeah. We know, but remove. By the way, for those of you watching, we're in our senior management retreat. So if you are seeing us having conversations, you know, we have some our team here. Please go ahead.
Okay, so let's talk about disappointments.
Yes.
In the words of Burna Boy, last.
Everybody go to breakfast.
Okay, so what's your biggest breakfast?
Biggest breakfast. Biggest. I've had, the problem is I've had too many to be able to have biggest. And plus, I've even had too many that I really can't say, right, biggest. You know, I think, and this is the first time I'm sharing this publicly. Many people didn't know why I joined NSAS, right? Because if I remember the first time, some guys who saw me when we were in Omole then, so we went to the Keja one. Some guys, many were thanking me, sir, with your success, you joined, we common people, we thank you for you, because they understood that I'd grown to a point where if I went to NSAS with my police orderly, right, I only told him not to wear uniform. Okay, so it just didn't make sense that I was part of it. But what people didn't know was that starting my business at the lowest ebb, I had gone through a lot of police brutality. One was my own personal experience, the other was my wife. Right? So I remember I used to do a trade fair for a particular university, right, to organize the trade fair. Now the trade fair was under the Dean of Student Affairs. So, and then I sent SMS campaign to people that were doing trade fair. And I didn't even know anything was wrong. So I went to the bank, it was GT Bank, and that's why I had to stop if I had to sue GT Bank, and I won. So it was GT Bank then. I went there and then they said to me that they had a letter from another account holder. And see how there's so much wickedness in Nigeria. And it's about, if you are small, that's the problem. Account holder. And the account holder wrote a letter to them and say, so person was doing something with their name. Arrest suspect on site. Another account holder, you have two accounts. Right? Now, what was funny was you did not even investigate to say, did any money come into... Now, ladies and gentlemen, this was a time where the only money in that account, as at the time that letter came, was 15,000 naira. So, how? So he said, arrest suspect on site. They didn't allow me leave. Call the police. And then that was it. I had to follow them. And I slept cell that night. Yes. In fact, I remember, I will never forget. I had to preach to everybody I met in cell. We did devotion in the morning.
Daniel in the Bible.
Yes.
You still like
We did devotion. We did devotion in the morning. And of course, by morning, they came to get my bail. And what was painful for me was, even after the institution involved discovered that what happened was they didn't know, the dean and the registrar did not know a trade fair was being organized by the Dean of Student Affairs. So the letter was signed by the VC and the registrar. Okay? But of course, after that issue happened, funny enough, I happened to be a member of that institution. So when they discovered it was me, because they didn't even know it was me, of course there was turmoil but what hurt me the most was for you to now officially write, even though my lawyer then said they were scared, they thought I was going to sue them and all of that, for you to even officially write and say there was a mistake here and my wife was pregnant and I still need that urgent 15K because my wife was going to give birth at any time. So I will never forget this. As at the day we had our first son, right, I did not have 4,000 naira to pay the midwife for the urgent thing they had to, buy for the delivery of our son because of that case. Okay? So I can go on and on, but I'll stop there. But I've stopped many breakfasts, many, where pure injustice, and that's why sometimes when I teach and there's so much energy, a lot of people don't understand where I'm coming from. I've been through this. When I teach with so much of, I hate poverty, I don't want my enemies to be poor. People don't, I know what it is. I understand what this thing called poverty is. In fact, incidentally, the lady who had to release, because I wasn't even around when we had our first son, who had to borrow us and go and drop the 4,000 in the hospital when we had our first child, was the first branch manager of Gtexthomes USA. And I have several staff like that the first time we were meeting, they were actually in a position to help me. The next time we were meeting, they were employee of Gtext. So oftentimes when I teach, and I've had to teach this to a lot of our colleagues who work here, about treating people with pure conscience. Right? Even if they are your juniors in the company, even when you will sanction, make sure your conscience is pure. Make sure it's not because the way he greets me, he was rude. This world is so small that the person you are trying to serve breakfast may be, the person will be your savior one day. It's just so small. So when I see even internal bickering, two staff are fighting, we won't talk to each other. Like, do you guys know what life is? You just don't know what life is. You don't know life. You don't know what life is. So for me, it's been one of my motivation where I make sure to the best of my ability, I treat everybody right. And I have a pure conscience. I go to bed knowing that I've done my part. I can't save everybody. I can't help everybody. Not everybody has had the best of experience with Gtext, either as employee or as clients. But God is my witness. I've dealt with everybody with pure conscience.
Okay, so we're going to shake things up. I'm going to put you on the spot on different things. We're going to call it versus. So I'm just going to ask you different people and you choose one.
Yeah.
Your favorites. In other words, I'll ask you favorites. But it will look like the high school essay if I say what's your favorite food or favorite car. I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm a huge fan of gospel music, I know that. Oyekon or Natalie Bassi?
Ah, no, do say no. I don't have any favorite. The two are mine.
No, choose one.
I can't. Honestly, I can't.
And this is how to change Nigeria. You must vote. One man, one vote. I know you like both. Yeah. Choose one favorite.
You said? You Nathaniel. For you. So let me say this, right? I will choose Dunsi for a reason, right? So there are songs and there are songs, right? And this is what I'm saying. For me, both are the same, but I first had an encounter with Dunsi's song, then started having an encounter with Nathaniel Bassey's song. So my biggest aha moments are with songs, right? So during the time of our evolution in 2020, during the end, COVID-19, I think it was, was it first? It was fragrance, then it turned to fire. No, because I love, thank you, you got it. It was open up. I was practically on a flight, one house. I was practically on a flight from, I think whether it was US to London, and I heard the word open up. And literally, Gtext opened up. Like I was getting inspired ideas. That was when we opened Dubai office. It was like an instruction of go and open all branches. Like go international. So then after that, I started having similar encounters with Natalia Bassey's song. So based on that is why I will rate, but honestly both are the same in terms of inspiration. Eh?
So
let's
move from religion to favorite. Burner or whiskey?
Music. Honestly, you didn't give me the choice. I'm a Davido guy.
No, that's why I didn't put Davido.
Why?
But the battle has always been Burner and whiskey, not Davido and whiskey. No. It's Davido and whiskey. Eh? It's Davido and whiskey. Okay, Burner. Hey guys, I'm the
moderator. Respect the moderator. I will go for. It's a tough one as well.
Whiskey and Davido and Whiskey and Burner are not on the same. The two of them are a battle of talent. Davido and Whiskey is not a battle of talent. It's a battle of popularity.
That's true. That's true. It's a battle of popularity. And I think in recent times, particularly since Davido released those donations, it's no longer an argument to make anymore. But battle of talent, I agree with you. I would probably go with Burna Boy, and I'll tell you the reason is because Burna Boy got a mentor, and I'm big on mentorship. Burna Boy lost his Grammy and got to Angelina Kidjo, and in a strange way, rather than what many people do, everybody hear this. He decided to go and pick that same Angelina Kidjo as a mentor. You can't remove the role of his mom in that anyway, right? And one of the things Angelina Kidjo told him was that nobody wins Grammy without a different sound, original sound. You have to have a sound that is original to you, right? And of course, Burna Boy did the tweaking and he won the Grammy, right? So his ability to have recognized that, his ability to have gotten the mentorship, his ability to have, in terms of personality, I'll go for Whiskey. I love Whiskey's personality. I think he's a lot more pleasant, in my own opinion, to Burna Boy. But talent-wise, I'll go with Burna Boy. In terms of in terms of pleasantness between Burna and Whiskey, I'll go with Whiskey. But pleasantness between Whiskey and Davido, I'll go with Davido any day, anytime.
So we're just moving through different. So let's go to politics.
And this is sensitive because these guys are likely to see this. That's why they are likely to
Let's go
see it.
politics. You've been without a doubt vocal on who you're going to vote for or who your favorite is.
Yes.
Right? You've been very
Yes.
vocal. So I'm going to move away from that.
Mhm.
APC 100 million.
Dollars. No,
No.
make it dollars.
No.
All of you that are shouting there. All of the APC are 10,000. 10,000. All of you know who you vote for.
No, Abba. I have said the numbers, right? If APC give me $1 billion, honestly, $1 billion, yes. In fact, I am now for BAT. BAT for like, hallelujah. BAT. but obviously, they can't pay me $1 billion for Christ's sake. Dollars. They won't do that. But in reality, is that I'm not against APC. In fact, in this election, I'm going to be voting Sanwo-Olu for governor. Right? Who is APC? Beyond a doubt. Because I really don't see any other candidate that could beat him. So for me, it's purely based on capacity. Asiwaju is my uncle, is my big daddy, and so much love and respect for him. If I were in a position to give an award of democracy, I'll give it to Bat any day, anytime. I have a lot of respect for Asiwaju. But for 2023, I think Baba needs to rest. I think his health is more important to anyone who care about him. We saw what happened to Buhari, right? We saw how he almost died, because funny enough, Buhari wasn't this sick, until he became president. It was, old age is there, but it wasn't this sick. But the pressure of being the president, and if you notice, since even when he recovered, he had limited what he was going to do, right? Because I'm sure the doctors will have advised him that this was exactly, and that has direct impact on governance heavily. Now, where Bat then did it for me, that crashed it, because in the case of Buhari, everybody had this mindset of even if Buhari fails, we had an Osinbajo. Do you get my point? In the case of Bat, he now didn't give me that option, right? And yes, I think the Muslim ticket was him losing. It wasn't. I don't have a problem with Muslim. My adopted mother is a Muslim. On my wedding, she recited Quran. I don't have issues with that. But I felt it was his own loss, because I feel the Fulani Hausa, I grew up in the north. They are very particular about their people. They are loyal to their people, and their imams have a way of rattling around them. They call them ulamas. So it's a lot difficult for a southerner to really penetrate them that much. And I think Asiwaju will have just gotten 100% of the Christian northerners. And in some northern states, they are 20%, some they are 25%, he would have just gotten 100% because they won't care about whether he's from the south. So for me, but where he lost me was that even if he was now going to do a Muslim, right, let it be a cerebral. I love that from day one. I don't care. What gives me the joy with a Peter Obi is that even if Peter Obi is out of the picture, you have a dirty that sound. The guy started Base University, cerebrally sound. Even when he's not as eloquent, but even when he talks, there's a.
He's actually quite eloquent. Actually more eloquent than Peter Obi.
When I mean eloquent, his words don't come as fluent. Listen to him. It's not as, it's like.
Peter Obi is down to earth, so it's relatable, but he's very straight up.
cerebral, you are missing it. Cerebrally, you cannot deny that the guy is very cerebral. But my point is that when he speaks, you know, there's a lot of pause to it. There's a lot of that's what I mean by eloquent in that sense, right? But my point is that you will know this is a very, very brain wise. This guy will deliver. So I'm no longer in that position where I'm just going for one person. Nigeria has shown us that at some point you can have health issues. Yaradua, we had the same issue. So you are going for both parties. You want, and for the first time we have a solid presidential candidate. We have a solid vice, you know. And so for me, I didn't care whether he's a Muslim, he's from the north. I'm even more of a northerner than a southerner. So a lot of times, even on social media, when people accuse me of, oh, maybe I'm going for one person because of one sentiment, I just laugh. Somebody, even when I said I was going to vote Sanwo-Olu, somebody said, maybe because Sanwo-Olu is a Christian. I laugh. I said, look, I'm voting Sanwo-Olu because of Hamzat. Hamzat is the brain behind Sanwo-Olu's government. Is the brain. In fact, even when they were talking about, you know, changing Ambode, I was rooting for Hamzat. Hamzat was the Fashola stock, right? Brain. So, for me, it's the cerebral thing. It's not about religion. I'm too educated to be that myopic or.
So it's a reminder that we're on television. So that
No, let them see it. No, why not? I would say to their face, with due respect, I love them, and they are my moms and daddies, but we are getting to that point where we are all trying to encourage Nigerians to participate, right? And part of participation is not just contesting, it's airing your opinion and do it in a respectful way. Because and I think the political class should appreciate me, right? And I know what I'm saying. Because the reason why youth sometimes resolve into violence is they are not able to express themselves. What Big Talk with DSA has done, that's even why we started that show, was to kind of say, okay, you may not be able to invite a deputy governor. You may not be able to invite a Jimmy Agbaje, a this. I will bring them and ask them questions, right? You were one of the guests. You saw how the youth they are not asking for too much. They're just saying, let's be able to, yes. Exactly. Let's say it's not in a way you say, you don't talk to elders like that. You don't talk direct. Let's be as
considered authority.
Yeah, consider. Let's be as and once you can give them that, they will be willing to. They are reasonable people as well. They are reasonable people. For me, I'm a bridge builder, and I hope our politicians know that I can understand them. I've grown, you know, in my career and my business to a point that I can understand the top elite. I get their fears, what they are trying to, because I also have assets to protect like they do, right? But also, I can relate to the guys who are saying, I now have masters, I don't even have a job, right? Or even with my masters, they're giving me 40K per month, right? I can relate to both. And so I'm a bridge builder, and you need build bridges in the society to avoid anarchy, right? I was sharing this with somebody who is a top Bats fan in London. I'll not mention his name. And he was, you know, telling me and he was like, oh, we would defeat you people. You this obedient. You. And I remember saying to him, I said, if Bats team were smart, someone like me should have interviewed Bat one-on-one, even if it would be recorded. Because a lot of obedient guys are already following me because of my position, and they are not even hearing Bat's position. And when you look at international politics, you will see that despite Donald Trump abusing CNN, there are certain situations where he will still grant an interview to maybe one particular CNN reporter. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying. He knows that they will not even report it well. But he want the opposition to hear his own view. There are still some opposition who just, I've never heard, you know, this way. I'll give a very shocking example. I was in the US, I went to visit Dr. Pepperwo, and I was in this family of some people. You know, I used to think then that all Nigerians and blacks were supporting Democrats. So it was Hillary and Trump. This was early day Trump, before first election. So I said, if I were to be an American, I will vote Hillary. Oh boy, the dinner turned sour. Because our host is a medical doctor who is a pastor. The man, what are you talking about? The people who are forcing me to abort pregnancy even at 9 months, and I as a doctor don't have my will. When the man scattered table, I had to, sir, I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't Trump it is. So then I used to then say, in my own view, that Fox were biased, and that CNN, I only listen to CNN because CNN gives you a very unbiased. So Dr. Pei was asking, what are you talking? What nonsense are you talking about? Fox is Democrat. I mean, CNN is Democrat. I didn't until I now started listening to Fox, and then was comparing both. And then, obviously this thing is true. Like one is tilting towards one and one. So a lot of times, the people who run the show, they are playing Ludo with our brains, and we don't even know. And we are just sitting down there and wanting to kill ourselves over. And finally, I'm not going to kill myself for any candidate, including Peter Obi or that. It's important to say that I'm willing to push my candidate and respect other people's opinion. I've been meeting with all my APC friends. For those who are willing to meet with me, we gist, we talk, we argue over it. And if Bat wins, I'm going to congratulate APC. I will probably be the first. If Atiku wins, I'm going to congratulate PDP. Right? It's not personal. We're all after the same thing. You know.
Key caveats, free and fair. They win free and fair. Okay. They win free and fair, you congratulate them. You don't congratulate someone that took your land. And he pay you money. That's a lighter note.
Does that mean you are also obedient? You know, because sensing.
I am the MC, cannot be asking MC.
Yeah.
So let's still stick to the questions. Of course, a lot of people are listening to you right now are your mentees, and they've heard so many things from you, so many train of thoughts. But if we summarize success in one word, what's that one keyword? One keyword for success. Summarize everything you know about success into one word.
Wow, that's a tough one. By the way, guys, once again, please let's share the video. I really will encourage us to share this video. I really want this video to go viral because some of the things I'm sharing, like I said, are really unique. I'm not sure I've said that in public, and I think we will encourage a lot of people. So please share. We're streaming on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Kindly help us share across all platforms. Honestly, I think success is a destination and not a journey. Right? I mean, sorry, success is a journey and not a destination. Sorry, please. Success is a journey and not a destination. So it's difficult when people ask me, what's success? I'm like, I'd rather say goals, right? Because today, I am already planning to give a 100-year vision before the expiration of our vision 2035, which is to do 200 estates and 25,000 green and smart home. So I'm hoping that between now and the year 2027, Jesus tarries, I'll unveil a 100-year vision, which of course I can't finish because I will be long dead, but the next people pick it up, and it's going to be in my will that anybody who runs Gtext must leave the company with a 100-year vision before they leave. So if they take over and we have gotten the vision to, let's say, 80 years left, add another 20 years to it, right? And I think it's powerful when I wish Nigeria is planned this way, because I think it's powerful that way, because you now will think systems. Well, the problem with Nigeria is that we're always just thinking now, we're always working for now. And once I'm not the initiator of the vision, I'm not going to run it, right? We're building a Gtext where your vision self, you will not be alive to run it. I don't know that you get my point. So my successors will have a vision they are running. They will not add their own on top of what we are having. Okay, and when people have that mindset, they are thinking institution, they are thinking systems, they are not thinking, and they can then do the right thing, because you are not making moves just for. And it's the same thing a lot of us struggle with, even in business. We are thinking of today, bread and butter, survival, what I will eat. I always say this to people. I said I never was able to plan well for Gtexthomes until my own personal daily bread, was no longer the issue. When I got to a point where, through the Stephen Akintayo consulting, my books, my coaching, I was able to make enough money to take care of my basic needs. I started thinking long term for Gtex, because I'm no longer trying to compare. If we spend this money to do retreat for staff, that's the cost of my house rent, or that's the cost of sending my kids to school. When there are certain thoughts that just affects your ability to make key investments into the future.
Just on a lighter note, what you said now is so deep, because it's why we should cut some people's slack, right?
Yeah.
A lot of Nigerians are first generation success.
Yeah.
First generation success is, and as a matter of fact, there's a research that says that 80% of Nigerians still have their grandparents living in the village. Right? So some people, even their parents living in the village. So practically speaking, I agree. But I just wanted to chip in on the 100 years thing. I think it was powerful. I got into a room of recent with a former MD of Coca-Cola, Nigerian MD, and he told a story that every new MD of Coca-Cola comes with their own plan. So I think in the 70s or 80s, the guy's plan was to sell 1 million bottles of Coke every day.
Yeah.
And then some guy came whose name was Gozetta. Gozetta is the longest lasting Coca-Cola.
MD.
MD. Gozetta is a very popular guy. He did the blind taste, Coke and Pepsi.
Oh, okay.
And he moved that, we should talk about expansion, to 1 billion bottles
A day. Wow.
As of today, Coca-Cola sells over 1 billion bottles
Every day.
Every single day, 1 billion bottles. So yes, I think it's important for people to write, and it's also something around continuity. Amazing time we're having.
Yeah.
So let's move to the future. There's a trend. We start from the past to the present. Now let's go to the future. Because when you become a market leader that you are, your role is to define the next for your industry, not even for yourself. Looking at the amount of saturation in
the real estate sector,
very saturated.
Heavily.
Anybody can go into real estate business. What do you think in 15 years or let's say within 20? What's the future of real estate?
Wow, it's bright. I think the
No, from a prophecy Nostradamus, specific things that will change.
I know. First of all, I think that the ultimate oil of Nigeria will be real estate. And write this down, right? Of course, it will rely on a leadership that will get it right, but the ultimate oil of Nigeria will be real estate, and I'm very certain about it. I personally believe strongly that in my lifetime, if we get a president that is willing to work with me, I promise you, because I was born in Maiduguri, I'm going to turn the desert area of Maiduguri to Dubai. Right? If I get a president that is willing to partner with me, right, I will turn the northern, and I've said it on Channels television before. In fact, that slogan went viral. I said, give me C of O to Sambisa Forest and I'll build skyscrapers. Right? Because the migration to the south is also not going to be able to be sustainable very soon. Right? So we have to actually have to find a way of creating tourism in every part. And we'll have what it takes to do the tourism. Right? We saw how they've done it in Dubai. There's this desert safari you do, right, in the deserts in Dubai, and it's just a wonderful experience. And it's still one of the highest earner for Dubai. You can't say you went to Dubai without doing the desert safari.
But
right?
Do we have all it takes? Security, power.
Security is just poverty. That's all. It's just poverty. It's just poverty. Right? It's just poverty. if a private organization enter that place and start creating jobs for those guys, right, and start teaching them basic skills. We are currently working on something with Gtexthomes where we are creating video content, how to do carpentry work, how to do tiling, how to literally online course. And we're going to be partnering with Ford Foundation, Mastercard Foundation to even get it to the interiors where you can get the code. And once you
Because I think the easy way route is to always think that everything can be solved by throwing money at it. In this case, providing jobs. Is it really a case, and I need to get your view, is it really a case of no jobs, right, or lack of value? I'll give you a practical example. Because people say that even in the South. A lady, for example, who makes 60,000 in one night, doing what? Will tell you,
doing prostitution.
I did not say anything. We'll have a conversation that there's no job. But let's be real. The same way the person who's carrying a gun in Borno, because we assume too much. We assume that the person who's carrying a gun is because there's no job. You assume that the person who's carrying a gun in Medjugorje is because there's no job. Right? But is it really about no jobs or value? So, for example, someone who's already spoiled, because there's something we're realizing, people are already spoiled by a way. Someone who, because Niger Delta, so that a lot in Niger Delta, someone who makes 200K every day on oil bunkering, what type of job would you provide for somebody who makes 200K in oil bunkering? The girl who makes 60, 80K in one night, right? What skill do you want to give her?
Good job.
60, 80,
good question. So first of all, let me say that globally, this is an issue, and I need everyone to listen. Global is an issue. If you go to the UK right now, the core white British guys are lazy, right? They want to they want lower work hours, they want higher pay, and things like that. And that's why you see this anti-immigrant issue, because when immigrants then come in, they are ready to work harder. They are ready to. So before you know it, then looks as if that. But here is the reason why those kind of crime did not result into anarchy. Same thing in the US. It's because as long as the day I wake up and say, I want to now make my money through legitimate means, which the society has a way of bringing back your conscience. It could be through church, it could be through rehab center, it could be, everybody gets to that point where you do that negative thing to the extreme, that your conscience is now biting you. But the day you then do that, there is no option. I was having a conversation with a woman who works with UN. There are nurses that go into Boko Haram. Your conscience is not option. I was having a conversation with a woman who works with UN. There are nurses that go into Boko Haram. What happened now? Nobody complained they were not hearing us. Huh? So so she was a nurse, and then she said some of the people, in fact at the beginning, when the government said we are rehabilitated Boko Haram, that they were really scared to treat these guys. In fact, she said there was one she was treating, the guy is practically less than 12-year-old. He will come to her, auntie, give me draw, I can't sleep. Right? They came to their village, they killed his father in his eye, and forced him to start killing. Yeah. So, and there are many of them like that. It wasn't that they went, James, stand up. It wasn't as if they went into, those things because they just didn't have a choice. And the same people, as they have started rehabilitating them, many of them are taking it. The people who wants to live that kind of life. So the same thing you will see with even so-called prostitution. There's a time maybe it was big when you were 20. Before you know you are 40. Like, you can't do that forever. Right? So you still want, it's usually when there's still no alternative that then gets you in that mood where there's not. Many of the kidnappers in the north have said it to people they kidnap, that tell your president he promised our children schools, jobs, because they came from Chad. Right? They thought he did not fulfill the promise. So even people, you get so everybody does. Look at what happened with Niger Delta. You know, incidentally, our board chairman for security, Mr. Michael Kiro, was the man who started, the IG that started the Niger Delta, you know, and was telling us that the Niger Delta amnesty program under Yaradua. He said, in fact, when he brought the proposal to Mr. President, and Mr. President even approved it and started the groundwork, right? One of the cabinet members was against that move and was trying to squash the thing, that he had to go back to the president and say, one of your, he didn't disclose the person's name. This person is trying to sabotage this thing. But sir, I promise you this thing will work. Many of those guys that we say were making money from oil, many of them are studying in UK, in Dubai. They got scholarship and they stuck to it. Some of them got scholarship to study even in Nigeria, right? And they stuck to it. And we know many of them today, right? So, and many came out of the creeks. And they even enjoy a better life outside the creeks than who wants to stay inside the creek for life. At some point, you are willing to come out and even be rehabilitated, start getting contracts. They even gave some of them contracts and things like that. So, ultimately, nobody wants to continue a negative path for life. If you are willing to give them alternative, sane society is about giving people opportunity. Right? There are a lot of people in Gtext, for example, that probably will have had a different life, particularly the ones who joined us at a younger, maybe they were leaving school, right? That their lifestyle will have been different from what it is today if they are not encountered Gtext, right?
Okay, so let's still go with brain teasers. You're big on billionaire, being a billionaire habits, making a billion. So I'm going to put you on the spot. If you were given $1 billion now, $1 billion now, and you need to spend that $1 billion in 48 hours. So you're not allowed to do 3 things. 1, put it in your business. 2, give it to charity. And 3, give it to church. Break down 5 ways to spend $1 billion in 48 hours. Because it's not easy to give $1 billion to charity.
No, you acquire more land.
I'm the compare here. It's creative thinking we are looking at. How would you spend it? I can't give it to madam. Number 4.
That's a tough one. Yes, number 1, I'm buying a private jet. Right?
$1 billion. You still have so much.
I know. So number 1, definitely I'm buying a private jet. Number 2 is to buy large expanse of land.
That's business.
That's land banking. Let me finish. Large expanse of land where I can have my private airport, right? You know that I'm building my own castle and I'm doing it in 4 locations: US, UK, Dubai, and Nigeria. Large expanse enough to have my own private airport. So I'm not going to be parking my PJ and parking my garage, hangar in my compound, right? And in that same, each of those massive castles, I'm going to, of course, have my private farm. I'm going to have my, my house, have amazing opportunity to treat presidents of nations. In fact, the goal is to make it, if possible, some of them will be islands, where the day Joe Biden retired, I will offer him, including my PJ to pick him, to come and just do vacation, in my castle.
$1 billion is gone already.
Yeah, I'll definitely go. Definitely go.
You don't give your people.
It may not even be.
You don't give the $100 million.
I can't.
No, that's not charity. That's charity.
That's not charity. It's charity.
No, that's not charity.
That's still for business. Because it's still PR.
No, $100 million for nation building.
No, it's partnership.
That's charity now. Foundation building.
So putting in research too. You not build a research.
That's business.
It's not
That's charity.
Stephen,
It's
that's
something
They're
that
not in charity. You shouldn't charity with the money. No charity, no church, no business.
That's that charity.
He will invest in his children's future. About $1 million.
So that they will come and be chef.
No. At least a part now. He did not mention that part. He was given for the family, all his family members. And then for way
Coach Timmy is
You are not
born
one
there.
What was become one?
The day they ask you, yes.
It's been an amazing session, hasn't it? Yeah, so before we go, of course, it just covers it and we end with legacy. Right? Always the last point of any great person. What you want to remember for. Right? So I'm not just going to be direct to ask you what you want to remember for. Right? But that's what I'm asking. Right? So let's assume that today's date, right, is October 4th, 2094. That's long life, right? And you're lying down and you have your great grandchildren, your grandchildren, and your beautiful wife, who is now 90 something, laying next to you. What are the advice you give to people at that point? What would matter most and what are the advice you give?
I think the first would be cherish every moment. One of my biggest regrets in life is that my mother is not alive today. And if I know my mom would die earlier, I probably would have spent more time with her. So cherish every moment you have. I mean, I'll be letting them know that this youth is like vapor. It will soon vaporize. Right? This I'm young. It's like vapor. Young youth, it's vapor. Before you know it, you are old actually. Right? So now that you have that, you're young, cherish every moment, value it, appreciate every single time. The people you love, let them know you love them. Let them not have a doubt. I've had to go extra mile to show I care in these last few years, by my words, by my actions to people that I care about. And I've had to do that because I now understand how powerful that could be. I also definitely let the younger ones know that, and this is probably very, very important for them to know, that they need to stop worrying. I really feel like I worried a lot at a phase of my life. Just to worry. I just felt I was way behind. Today when I talk to people and they feel I'm fortunate, I'm like, I mean, there were days I felt, unfortunate. It was just some forces against my success, and it was weird because in my case, I was a teenager when prophets used to come to our house. They will see prophecy on everyone. This one, pray for him. Something bad is about to happen. When it comes to mine, Say, this guy is going to be very rich and very famous. That's the only thing they will say about me. You know, and they will say all those things. Meanwhile, I was the only one who had, I had done operation on my what do you call it now? Not just toes, the other legs, but majorly the toe. My 2 toes, I've done more than 20 surgeries on them. The last one was even in the US, where they had to use a chemical to prevent that nails will ever grow on those 2 toes. So I was a teenager that I couldn't play football, I couldn't do any sport.
Fun fact, how many of you know that toes do not grow into, nails don't grow into toes?
I know. I know. I've seen it before. I said maybe it's because of his nose.
I need a lady to help me. Okay, Jessica.
Jessica.
How they would show.
Jessica. Who has
Jessica stand up. I'll enter the water.
I'm not even teaching. So once we are through, right, we'll carry her. I will hold her leg and her, right, one of you will hold her leg. And then then if we have enough people to appeal, we'll let her down. If we don't have enough people,
We have enough people to appeal. Tochi, Jamio, I'm here. We are appealing. I'm still supporting them.
Alright, guys. But I want to know something about the last question. What are your last advice and your last day? That's really what production is. You notice how everybody's last day, they seem to replace money, power, respect with happiness, love, and freedom. It's a standard. Anybody, if you go to like Ruth, maybe EIZU, you find that everybody says the same thing. It's actually a record, and I'm sure the team never read this song either. Everybody literally says, I wish I cared more. Even I wish I cared more. I wish I spent more time with people. Right. And the question and the last remark is, why do you have to wait till the last? We all at every given point can love more, care more, and be free more. Freedom to do more things. Freedom to think widely. Dr. Stevie?
I have a question.
See? You can't just stand up to
exactly. Well, we will do what we have said.
Just one last question that was related to your last question. I really wish that was the line you went to. So I want to know, 2094 as well, who do you want to be remembered as? Who is that person? If you can paint a picture of.
The guy who democratized wealth.
I give that to you. Yes. I said what you do is you democratize wealth.
Okay, thank you.
I've always known that will be of wealth. I've always known. Honestly,
go and verify.
I've always known that, in fact, my name is Akolade, bringer of wealth. You know, Akolade. So I've always known that I wanted to remember as the guy who it just helped a lot of people, because once there's fun, I give an example, I've been able to love more. I've been able to love more in recent time because I had more. Like, without the money, it's difficult. I just finished speaking with my was thanking me for the last money I sent to him. I wouldn't have, even if I had wanted to send him money. When the money wasn't there, it's difficult. So a lot of time, and this is very important, when people then use that word of why couldn't they have loved more? Sometimes that they didn't have the means. In their later years, they had the means, and they just wish they had it earlier to be able to have shown. Because love my mother more meant that I wish I'd done more things. I will never forget the wristwatch I bought for her. It's still one of the fond memories, even though she was asking me where I bought it, how they must have cheated me. My mom always believed I was a terrible negotiator. And it's funny how today everybody feels I'm a master negotiator. So she was just asking me, Ibolotira, Eloni, what's it buy? I'm like, enjoy that I bought you wristwatch, and don't bother about how much I bought it, whether it was, But, I have that, desire of, So a lot of things we will wish we do will still be when we have the resources, to be. That's why it's still important to quickly, and that's, I think, one of the advantage I will have. I believe God, I'm going to live long, and I've had that covenant with Him at an early year. That, my debt, I've told God the debt I want to have. I want to sleep and not wake up. And I've gone to mountains for years growing up, asking God, this is my request. I don't want I die inside fire. And that's why, like I said, the
You're not carrying body to heaven.
Yes, I don't want that. I told God long ago. And I'm talking about days where every day I pray for 2 to 4 hours a day. And just me and God. And I was not even asking for money. I was a teenager. And I was just saying, these are things that are important. You and I, I've lived my life to serve you, but these ones, I don't want them. So I remember the day we had a plane issue where it was Emirates to Nigeria, and we had to turn back mid-air, dump the fuel. The plane was shaking, and one of our clients, Mrs. Toyin, that I went to visit in London, she was in the plane. She was in economy. She had to come to business class to wake me up. Don't you see what's going on? The plane is about to crash. So, and I smiled. I looked at her. As long as I'm here, this plane cannot crash. If I think tomorrow, she will tell you. And she couldn't. Is this man human? She couldn't believe somebody can. If it was that I said it after we landed, it's a different matter. In the midst of this thing, you can be talking like this. She looked at me. Hey. I said, go and relax. We go back. As long as I'm here, we can't crash. So for me, I've had those covenant with God, and I wish I live long, and I believe I will. And I'm happy that I quickly was able to be financially free, so that I can have a longer memories of just using my wealth to make people happy and see how it makes them feel.
At this point, thank you very much.
Thank you. So we're coming back by 3 p.m. Right? So we'll go have lunch. We're coming back by 3 p.m. Who is helping me with Temi matter? We're taking Temi to the lake. I'm not joking. It's not even you cannot bribe me. You are committed.